Welcome everybody to the Stars Championship Series rivals, or shall we say rovals, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. My name's Emery Lida. I'm joined by Taylor Burris on Grid Vision exclusively as we get set to produce the third round of the Stars Championship East Series here. Charlotte Motor Speedway, the host at Concord, North Carolina, one of the most famous facilities in the United States and in the world for motor racing. And this layout features several tight technical corners along the 2.3 mile Roval circuit. So, Taylor, as we get set to go for this broadcast, is another Stars broadcast. How are you feeling tonight?
I am feeling absolutely amazing right now. Emery just got back from Phoenix. Me and you were bringing coverage on Kart Chaser for the Rotax Trophy West Series over at Phoenix Kart Racing Association. Great racing. Actually, we get to continue it here with more of some of the future and current stars of the Stars Championship Series here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And of course, this is going to be one of the season opener events for the Real Life Stars Championship Series, kicking off at the Charlotte Motor Speedway at the kart track, just as you saw on screen towards the turn 3-4 on the oval side of the track.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the most iconic venues, of course. Bruton Smith, the current owner, Humpy Wheeler, one of the most famous track owners in America, and there's a lot of pedigree with this place, whether it be IndyCar, IMSA, a little bit of Formula Car action, the Legendary Series run as Charlotte as its flagship series, and of course all of the NASCAR action like the Coke 600 and the All-Star race until recently. This track has a lot to offer, but the Roval, which is what we are racing tonight, is possibly one of the most exciting layouts to have come through the NASCAR sphere in recent years, and we're seeing now on the racetrack the F4 cars that we will be seeing on throughout tonight before we get into the Pro F3 category. So here we go through the final corner up to the bus stop chicane, Taylor. And I mean, what's your impression of this layout and the Roval in general?
Honestly, Emery, this track provides a lot of great racing action, whether it be in any form of car that we see here on the service or in real life racing. I mean, we see, of course, more regularly the NASCAR series run. We did see IMSA run here back in 2020 during the pandemic, but we also see some of the grassroots drivers, SCCA for example, will come out and run here around the world. It always provides some great ways to learn a little bit more about how to handle road racing, especially at a very tight, and I have to say, this track here can be difficult for the future running or future drivers who are making their debut at this track.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when it comes to a road race, I mean, the Roval in some ways is really good to teach new drivers. I think the braking zones are, especially into the final bus stop chicane and the other chicane as well, teach you a lot about braking zones as well as the roll speed required to handle turns 1 and then turn 3 as well through the infield. So there's a lot of unique characteristics to this place, but I really think this is going to put on some good racing when it comes to racing these Formula cars.
Absolutely, a lot of things still to keep in mind here as we're wrapping up with qualifying. Qualifying just started about 7 minutes ago, so we'll see how this plays out as a couple of drivers are working their way around the circuit to get themselves situated. So we'll see how that plays out as they start their first flying lap around the track.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, in this F4 category, we saw in Watkins Glen to be a little bit more spaced out racing. Obviously, the smaller category, not running combined with the F3 tonight, just one category at a time. And I think that this is going to produce some good, exciting racing. I feel like the field is going to be a little bit tighter than what we saw in Watkins Glen. I'm excited to see how this plays out here as we get set to go for the actual racing coming on here in a few minutes.
Absolutely, here as drivers work their way around the circuit. Currently, we are watching Leo Octravo in the number 35 machine as he works his way down the back straightaway heading through the chicane here. This is going to be a tricky spot, especially with these Formula cars, because the curbing here is absolutely a monster for these cars. One bad bump and it will absolutely send you into the outside wall, the inside wall, loop around, or get significant damage to the nose or the wings of that Formula 4 car.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to note, too, that in these Formula cars, when you're looking at the downforce, in F4, it's one thing with the front wing, but when we get later on tonight into the F3 category, the wing damage is very sensitive. If you lose one part of the wing, it can and will mess with the downforce. I think iRacing's done a really good job with the damage model for these Formula cars, and you cannot get away with cosmetic touches that you might be able to get away in cars that have more bodywork. As we see, the F4 qualifying looks to be mostly complete, so that will wrap that up by the looks of things, although they still have a few more minutes to put down their flying lap, Taylor.
Yep, there is a couple of other cars on the track right now. How about one driver, as this is the number 167 machine on the track. Right Stern is coming on. He's currently trying to work his way around the circuit. He has yet to set a time, so we'll keep an eye and see what he can do.
Yeah, and Stern, of course, coming onto the high banking. In this transition, I mentioned it in the Daytona broadcast with Alex, but the transition from the kind of flatter part, the infield section, to the high banks is where you're going to see a lot of instability. So it's important, even though it's a flat-out section, you have to be able to carry the speed well. And there you can see him through the bus stop. A little bit too much curve, I would say, there on the second part. Drifts out a little bit wide, but still full power plant down as he heads through the turns 3 and 4 high banks at this Charlotte Motor Speedway, trying to use all of the track there, and he'll get set to finish up his hot lap here.
Absolutely, as he works his way, making his way in through the chicane. Let's see what he sets his time at. He crosses the line, and it's a 119.556, so that's good enough for P4 right now at the moment.
Yeah, so not quite the lap he would have wanted to have, but still a solid effort from Stern. And you can see just how much track he's using, almost out to the grass there on exit. Did dip a couple tires in, gets a full apex there coming through turns 5 and 6, the double right-hander here. And then, of course, like I mentioned, you get onto the elevation change and up towards the flat to the main surface. And I mean, this track, it's a lot of fun to drive, Taylor. There are a lot of minute elevation changes that you don't really expect out of a track like Charlotte, where the banking's maybe not quite as extensive as Daytona, but there is still a lot of change in elevation over the course of both the infield and the main track. As you see again, Stern using up as much curve as possible, back on the power through here. That looks to be a much smoother exit from the chicane than the last time around.
Absolutely here, and as he works his way up through the numbers here, NASCAR turn 3 and 4, trying to set himself up for the braking. This Formula 4 race, maybe as he cut the grass a little bit right there, I don't think that will count as a time. We'll have to see as he comes across the start and finish line. I don't think that will count for him due to the fact, but he will park it there at the Heartburn turn and end his qualifying run. Looking around the circuit to see if there's anyone else on the track so far. That is going to have to be a no. I think everyone's off the track for the moment, so qualifying might be ending a little bit early for our drivers here today.
Yeah, and so ultimately it was a competitive qualifying with James Overshaw getting himself on pole position by the looks of it, unless someone else is able to pull out a lap that we don't currently see. But I mean, this has been maybe a little bit more spread out than what we're going to see later on in the F3 category, Taylor, but still, I mean, the racing on the track, like we were talking on the opening, gives a lot of chance for overtaking. And I mean, as you look at this Roval circuit, what are some of the places you think are going to be the best for passing opportunities as we get into the racing later on tonight?
Well, one place I have to say for certain that we're going to have to keep an eye on is that turn 1 Heartburn turn, and you'll see a lot of drivers, maybe not here in the Formula 4 race because of how many cars we have for this race. But when we get into the Formula 3 race, I think we're going to see a lot of drivers make some big lunges going into that corner for our competitors. Another section to keep an eye on is that transition when you're coming out of the Roval section and on to the banking. We've seen time and time again, whether it be sports cars, whether it be open wheel, touring cars, you name it. When you're racing on a Roval like Charlotte or Daytona, that transition when you're coming off a flatter surface and then climbing a banking, it can give you some issues where you could easily lose grip in the tires and cost you valuable time and seconds and cost you an incident. So we'll see how this plays out, but I have a feeling that's going to be one of the things we'll have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that transition point, not ideal. Also, the curbing in that last bus stop chicane, it's deceptively big. Like, the amount of curb that you kind of have to take to be able to go fast means that there's not a whole lot of margin for error. If you overuse the curve on the first or second part, it can spit you out. And so I expect to see that it's kind of going to be a risk versus reward battle tonight in terms of finding the right balance to carry the most possible speed, especially when you're in a pack of cars, because not being able to carry the right amount of speed will leave you susceptible into that turn one corner, which again, like you mentioned, I think is going to be probably the best overtaking zone on this circuit as we get set to go. I mean, again, heavy braking zone, there's a couple different areas as well where you're going to be able to get good momentum. I think into the bus stop on the back side of the track, Taylor, will be a good opportunity, but certainly being able to maximize that front straightaway chicane is going to be ultra important.
Absolutely, and we're going to have to keep an eye on all of that here as they wrap up qualifying. We'll give you your starting lineup momentarily as the field works their way and gets themselves lined up behind the pace car driver as time ticks down and our qualifying session has come to a conclusion. So that means one thing. Let's go ahead and give you your starting lineup for tonight's action as the field works their way around the circuit.
Yeah, so we got Leo Ovcharov as well as Savio Pancia. Both of those guys have been very competitive throughout the semi-pro action so far this year. They'll line up on row number 1. Going down to row number 2, we got Wyatt Smith as well as Eric Sove. They will make up the second row of the grid of these F4 cars. Then we get into row number 3. It's Michael Adams as well as Christian Gomez, both racing here on the third row, number 8 and number 6 respectively. And so that is the 6 car, and then lining up shotgun on the field is Brett Stern in that 7th spot aboard the number 167 machine.
Can confirm that Christian Gomez is actually our race control member here tonight. So he did the naughty thing almost where he signed in as a driver. So he is going to be up in the tower, ever watchful as he sees these young guns do battle here tonight as the field will be lined up behind the pace car. But how about the 2 race factory machines up on the front row?
Yeah, I mean, Leo Ostrosov, we've seen him as well as Savio Pancia. Both of them have been very competitive this season. We saw them battle out at the front. We saw Pancia run really good at Daytona. So I think that this is going to be an exciting battle to watch. I mean, they were competitive in qualifying, but again, the length of this race makes it an entirely different beast from just being able to put down one hot lap. I think being able to be consistent in a race format is going to be critical here. So I'm excited to see how this one plays out. I think both of them are going to be competitive, but certainly there are a number of factors in the field that could make this more fun.
Absolutely. We'll see how this all plays out. Of course, those 2 drivers representing the Delta Sport team, a well-reputable team on the iRacing platform, especially for those in the karting community, as they are about to pull off onto the track. And there they go to have their 1 pace lap, 25 minutes or 20 laps. So most likely the 25 minutes will hit first. They make their way over into turn number 1.
Yeah, so 25-minute race, like you mentioned, Taylor, should be what they will hit first. The F3 might be a little bit closer as to whether or not it hits 20 laps or 25 minutes, but again, that's a lot of time. That equates to roughly 19 laps around this track at the pace that they ran in qualifying. And so, again, with the amount of time, they've got more than enough fuel with the setups for tonight, so we know that's not going to be an issue, and I think we're going to see some all-out battling as opposed to trying to save equipment, because in this F4 car, the tire wear not quite as much of an important factor as what we'll see later on in F3, so I think we're going to see a lot of duking it out early and often here.
Absolutely, the field works their way around the circuit here, and as they work their way, this right here is another good area where we can see a lot of passing, but also a lot of controversy and chaos, because you're kind of going off-camber, uphill, blind corner, so you never know what to expect when these drivers crest over that little peak and come from behind that wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much kind of a, I don't want to say Mickey Mouse because I think that's a negative connotation, but it's definitely a unique sort of style of corner, especially for this Roval setup where you have the change in elevation, the slightly off camber version of a corner, and it kind of just extends all the way onto the back end of the banking from that double right. So it all kind of flows together at different elevation points. And so getting your car settled through there and carrying the most amount of rolling speed on exit is going to be very important here And again, I think that's kind of the difference between the guys that are really quick and the guys that struggle a little bit when it comes to putting down consistent lap times, is being able to hit the rhythm of that section as they're now continuing to form up down the back straightaway, getting set on their formation lap. Again, only one pace lap before they get the green flag to go racing here, and I think that we're going to see a small field certainly, but still one that should have a lot of good battling, in especially at the front.
Of course, the Formula 4 race is first, and then immediately after we'll take a few-minute break to get things set up for the F3 race. And of course, as part of the doubleheader Tuesday night here on Great Division. Of course, a little later on this evening around 9 o'clock Eastern, you can catch the Champions Power Equipment Truck Series as they head off to Atlanta Motor Speedway here now on iRacing. So tune in immediately after this event to catch some of the best in truck racing battle it out at the high-speed ranks of Atlanta.
Absolutely. As we get set to go, pace cars coming in to the pit lane, and we get set to go through the bus stop. Again, in real life, most of the time when they run the Roval, they go through just straight through the high bank and start it on that. But instead, we're going to get the green out of the bus stop. It's green flag in the air. Let's get going for 25 minutes of racing here in the F4 Semi-Pro category. And it's already Ostrov off to the race lead. Taylor.
Absolutely, as the field works their way around the circuit. Great racing action here as the field works their way around and heading up, of course, down towards towards back straightaway as they crest over the hill turn towards 3 and 4. Already a great lead by your front runners as they crest over the hill. Trouble as one cart slides, gathers it back up. This opens up the race lead for the 44.
Yeah, the 44 into the race lead by the looks of it, but it's not over yet. There goes Ostrov. That is diving down the inside into the high banks, and he'll now carry that momentum down. He'll have to go defensive, though, to hang on to this lead, though, as they come down out of the high banks, out of turn number 2 of the traditional oval circuit, and into the bus stop chicane here on the back straightaway. Looks like Ostrov's going to be able to hang on to the lead here coming through the bus stop.
Job keeping the rest of the field behind, but now they're going to have to worry about some drafting and slingshotting. Turn NASCAR 3 and 4, you're not going to really see that, but off of turn 2 of NASCAR turn 2, that's going to be a trouble spot where we see a lot of that. But as they head down to the chicane, a big send by the 44. He will complete the pass, and new race leader on lap 1 will go to the 44.
Yeah, 44 into the race lead, coming down through turn number 1 now and around there, trying to extend the gap there from the 2 race factory entries. So already a great start through turns 2. Again, continuing to hang on the momentum, and now we're going to see Panchia against Ostrov going for that second spot, as it looks like they're way more into a battle amongst themselves as opposed to going for the race lead. So you can now see Wyatt Smith continuing to lead, but in second and third position again. Panchia as well as Ostrov going back and forth at it here, coming down into the chicane. Again, this is Wyatt Smith leading the race aboard the number 44 entry. He grabbed it on the opening lap. Now there, I believe, is Panchia trying to get himself into that second position. There you can see them all towing together. This is the effect of the draft coming out of turn number 4 down onto the bus stop chicane. There you go, Panchia with a great onboard camera there. You can see him using the curve on the first start. The second part, you don't want to get too much of it, and you can see Ostrov trying to go for the lead coming into turn number 1. Not going to happen here as they're all 3 line of stern coming out of turn 1 here, Taylor.
Absolutely great battle amongst your top 3 as they try to jockey around for position as they come out of turns 3 and 4 as they crest over that little bit of a curving, hit their marks, and then race their way down over to turns 4 and 5. But for Akhtarov, he is now in the captain seat. He's got to set himself up so he can do Ryan Smith as they try to work their way through. Didn't make a mistake this time around as they come out, but he's got to be careful as they come out of turn number 6.
Yeah, again, the smoothness of that exit is going to dictate how much of a slipstream he gets. This time it's a very good exit. It's a good slipstream. They're almost banging wheels coming out of turn number 2 on the oval. And as they come back down into the bus stop chicane, you can see side-by-side action. That should favor Wyatt Smith as he's got the inside line. And he comes into and through the chicane. A good exit for him, not going to overdrive it. And now you can see Ostrov more under fire from Salvio Panchia as they come into turn number 3 of the oval, and they're all going to be in a tow here. This is where the draft played effect last time. We'll see if it plays effect this time. Not quite as much as they come into the final chicane and come out of it. It's another lap in the books with Wyatt Smith leading.
Akhtarov hit a little bit of that outside wall as they came out of that bus stop chicane right there, so he was able to gather it back up, but that has to be careful because that tire damage could be costly for him.
Yeah, do not want to be hitting the wall, damaging those tires. Again, on natural rubber progression, not quite as much tire fall off in the F4 side of things as the F3 degradation, but still, you don't want to be unnecessarily degrading those tires at the wall. But you can see Akhtarov really trying to push that car, hustle it to the end here, coming down towards the high banks here, and you can see that little bit of hustle. You do wonder if that will play more of an effect into his tire wear later on, but right now he's looking for the lead possibly as he comes onto the back straightaway and is going to get a nice good tow. He's going to try to go to the bottom. There you can see Wyatt Smith going defensive. They're side by side. Akhtarov to the inside. Akhtarov to the release read coming through the bus stop.
How about that? A textbook pass right there by Akhtarov as he will now gather it up. And here comes Wyatt Smith. He'll get to the back bumper right there as they work their way up through the gears. He'll go to the outside. Will he think about crossing over as they head into the chicane? So far, he's been known to send it deep here. Will he do it again? Yes, he will, and he will come out with the race lead once again out of the chicane.
Yeah, there we go. Wyatt Smith not taking any prisoners, does not waste any time getting back to the race lead.
Oh,
and
he
hit the wall. There, it looks like he overdrove it a good bit into the wall on the exit of turn number 1. We'll see how much damage that does, see how that affects his tire wear, but for now, it's Akhtarov back into the lead, and for the first time all race since the drop of the green flag, we can see Savio Penchia into the second spot.
Take a look right here of Wyatt Smith. He was definitely struggling a little bit, I have to say. Keep an eye on him. Doesn't look like too severe of damage to the tires that it's getting on.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, but again, that's just those hits will add up if you do it more than once. And now you can see Wyatt Smith, maybe the confidence dragged down a little bit too. He gets in the tow, gonna see if he's gonna send one on Punchy a little bit too far back there coming through the bus stop. Uses the first curve well, looks like he overdrives it into the second, misses the curve altogether, and that will hurt his exit and his run all the way through the banking.
Certainly will. Now he is about 0.3 of a second behind Savio Panacea, and then another 0.3 further back from your race leader Akhtarov as they head into the chicane once again. Clarest over the curbing. Gotta be careful. Really on time as they head over into Heartburn Corner. See if he manages to get a little bit better. No, taps the wall a little bit more. He's losing more time on your top 2.
Yeah, Wyatt Smith gonna have to back it down a little bit here. I mean, he has been really good early on in the race, but again, those little mistakes, overdriving it just a little bit. We saw it in turn 1 2 laps in a row. We saw it in that back chicane. And I mean, he's got to find a way to balance that, because right now Panchia and Akhtarov are pulling away from him, and they're doing it in a much more smooth fashion, which has to be easier on their cars.
Absolutely, and also another thing to keep in mind too, Emery, is the fact that those two are teammates. They're not going to press each other to battle for the race lead right now. They want to try to get away from Wyatt Smith, have some room, and be able to battle amongst themselves. So if they continue to do that, then we'll see as we get a little bit closer to the end how that will play out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's something where they'll know to be patient with each other. They probably practice with each other and work with each other. And they'll know that at the end of the day, even if one makes a mistake, it's not worth pressing the other one and risking some kind of DNF or collision or just a simple issue. As you can see now, there goes Akhtarov into the final corner. He's going to lead yet another lap, and you can see now Panchia continuing to get close to him, but not really working to press him too heavy as of right now.
Take a look at some of the other drivers out on track. Brett Stern, who we saw in qualifying, he is running in the 4th position at the moment. And then you have Eric Stove in the 06 machine. He rounds out your top 5. Forrest Adams is taking it behind the wall. His name is done already. For Forrest Adams in the number 8.
Yeah, Forrest Adams would have liked to have done a little bit better, I feel like, but at the end of the day, an early issue forces him out of the race before we even get to the halfway mark. So unfortunate for Forrest. He'll be back. We'll see him a lot on the national stars calendar this year, and I'm excited to see what Forrest does in his second season of junior kart racing.
Absolutely, look forward to seeing that. Of course, this here is your neck of the woods. I used to be a fellow Carolinian at one point, but your home track, part of the Stars Championship Series, as we have 2 races here in the Tar Heel State for the Stars Championship Series in 2024. Season opener happening right here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, they don't call it the Tar Heel State for nothing. Go Heels! But I mean, Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm really happy to be going there to at least work at Stars, because it's a track that is 5 minutes away from where I grew up in Concord. It's the place where I graduated from high school at. I've been to Charlotte a million different times, so I mean, I'm excited to finally see another big time race at my home track, and I think that it's going to put on a good show for everyone on the karting scene this year. And as well as that, I mean, of course, you have Trackhouse Motorplex later on in the year, and Mooresville, also about 35 minutes away from my home. So, I mean, I got really lucky this year with how many good racetracks are in North Carolina, and I'm excited to see Stars coming back to Charlotte for the Queen City Gambit, which, again, first off, hats off to Christian and Alec and the rest of the marketing team for Stars, because that was a beautiful name for this race in Charlotte. But that's coming up in a couple of months, the season opener, and I'm excited to see how this all plays out at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Absolutely. Of course, it's not the first karting event that'll be happening here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, this weekend you have to get ready for the CKNAs as they head over here for their spring nats at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I mean, it looks like might be some rain in the forecast, which would put a damper on things, but still, I believe it's the largest ever spring nationals for CKNA. They've extended the entry limits all the way up to, I believe, 96 for the headline classes, and we're going to be racing under the lights for the first time since the repave at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I mean, again, since this track came back in 2020, this is by far the biggest season of racing on its calendar. I mean, we're going to have CKNA coming in. You're going to see the Stars Championship Series, both of them going to bring in well over 200 entries more than likely, and I think we're going to see really just all that track has to offer. And it starts this weekend, like you mentioned, with CKNA. Excited to be there for that one. Excited to be able to sleep in my own bed and work later. I mean, it's a lot to look forward to as we get set to go for what should be an exciting couple months of racing here.
Absolutely, and it's all, you can catch it all on either Kart Chaser for the real world karting, and if you're interested in seeing some virtual kart race or some kart racers virtually racing, come over here to Grid Vision. Karting series on here that come out and compete with Grid Vision. And already a big wobble right there for Pentia, who had a big hit right there over the curbing. Able to keep it straight and narrow, not make contact with the wall, but losing some valuable seconds on his teammate, Avaktarov.
Yeah, Avaktarov again with that mistake, continue to pull away just a little bit. They have dropped Wyatt Smith a good bit. In fact, Smith has fallen back into that fourth Smith, as well as Eric Sov has been able to get by him as well. So there's a look at Wyatt Smith just coming out of the final corner. So he just has not been able to keep himself away from those mistakes. And in the meantime, Sov has found himself up into that third spot.
Absolutely. We'll see what happens here. Let's see if we can maybe find what happened with Wyatt Smith and Eric here. So let's see if we can take a look and find what happened for that pass for position. It might have been right here. Let's take a look. So this is a replay of the event. And did Wyatt Smith make a mistake? No mistake. He apparently passed Eric's. So here we go. Eric Stove passing right there. This is the pass for that position that we just saw.
Yeah, let's see what happened here. I mean, you can see Stove continuing to try to make that pass. And I wonder, I mean, it looks like Wyatt Smith had to have made a mistake here coming into either turn one or something around that area.
It seems to be the case as we live here. Live to see for our competitors. There you see Eric Stove out on the track, currently running, or Wyatt Smith currently running P4. Eric Stove third, running at third. Everyone just now logging laps, getting to the end as Akhtarov and Pentia lead the charge 1 and 2.
Yeah, again, just continuously clicking off laps. The two teammates Ostrov under no threat from behind. We saw Wyatt Smith lead earlier in the race, but ever since that pass in turn number 1 after the mistake, it has been smooth sailing for Ostrov, who looks poised for yet another strong race result.
Absolutely, and we're going to keep an eye on these drivers as they work their way around the circuit. A little bit of a low line right there. I don't know if he was going to penalty right there, and that's probably why Savio is losing time, because that was a little bit low the racing line, per se. Be careful not get a cut course.
Yeah, I got to be careful with that. I think Savio maybe trying really hard to make up the time that he lost through a couple of those mistakes, but he's got to rein it in a little bit to make sure that he doesn't compound it and make any more that would compromise his chances over the course of the rest of the race. But it really is interesting to watch how smooth Ostrov is compared to Savio, who we're seeing right now, just in the sense that Panchia is really pushing the boundaries of the car. Seems like he's hustling in every corner. I think Ostrov's leaving a little bit more in reserve, probably because of the lead he has, and the result is a car that seems to be just smooth, consistent, and pulling ahead together.
The last time by, Akhtarov was 0.2 of a second faster than his teammate. He still holds the fastest lap of the race with a 1:16.790. So he is getting around, but being balanced about it. He's keeping his distance from his teammate Savio, but also not making a mistake to where it would cost him the chance of winning here at Charlotte.
Yeah, you don't want to end up slipping up and giving someone else a lifeline into a race win. It's one of the worst feelings out there. And I think if you're Ostrov, you can run just your normal pace. Don't try anything too crazy, and you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to walk away to this win. And at worst, the only guy that is remotely in the same zip code as you is your teammate. And you know you've had the upper hand on him throughout this race event. So there's no reason to press, no reason to try to push too hard. I think he's got this one pretty well covered if he just avoids the mistakes that could come from pushing the boundaries a little bit too much.
They come out of the corner, and see him going to continue his pace, no pressure whatsoever for his teammate, and absolutely great run for him as he comes cresting from behind that blind corner to head over to turn number 6. Just now 9 minutes left to go in the race, 13 of the 20 completed. So it's going to be right on the money as far as time compared to the laps, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job planning this out. It's going to work out probably right in line with the 25-minute mark. I think the F3 race is going to be a little bit different, but certainly 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 20 laps is just about equal for these F4 cars. As we get set down out of turn number 3 now, you can see Ostrov just continuing to run a smooth line. We'll see how aggressive he takes the bus stop again. It looks like Panchia has pulled that gap in just a little bit these last couple laps, but still got a long ways to go to be able to catch Ostrov in the next few laps before the end of this race.
Looking through to see anyone else. So far we have only 5 cars on the track. Brett Stern rounding out the top 5 players, rounding out the podium here tonight.
Yeah.
So far, which is going to be minding their P's and Q's. But we do have the F3 right after this, and I got to say, a lot of cool things happening with those drivers as they get ready for a great event.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see the F3 showdown. We saw at Watkins Glen shoot out a very close field, and I think, again, it's going to put on another similar show here at Charlotte with the field being tightly together. We've seen the effect of the draft through this F4 race, and I have to imagine in the F3 cars, while the actual draft effect might not be quite as large as in F4, the ability to be close in a very close field is going to mean that the impact of it, the passes you're going to see from it are going to be very expansive as we get later on in the night and we see the main show coming up in a little bit.
Absolutely, and one thing also is the fact of, this is the second to last event of the year. There is one more race for the winter calendar season before they kick things off. So we'll see what the decision is. There is some talks of some really good track choices, I know for sure, for the final race of the year. And then some other stuff that we'll see what happens for the new season of the Stars.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, this has been a successful venture back into the esports world for Stars. We've seen them in the past. It was really kind of what the series was built off of. And we had a good interview with Christian Marsh at the last round in Daytona about kind of bringing stars back to its roots. And I really do think that having this series has kind of rejuvenated a lot of the interest in the program heading into the 2024 season. And again, like, there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the real world on the stars kind of side of things this year when it comes to the new Pro Show format and bringing the OK and J format, or OK and J class as well, and of course the expansive shifter as well as OKN and KA classes all being pillars of the Stars Championship Series. So there's a lot to look forward to. Also bringing in Charlotte as a new track addition. I'm looking forward to watching this season, seeing how it unfolds. I think starting out on the virtual side of things with the Great Winter Series has been a smart move from the program, and I think it's drawn a lot of new interest to the series heading into the full size, the full calendar year on the real world side of things.
Absolutely, and we'll keep an eye on the circuit. 5 laps to go, about 5 minutes left to go on the clock. So it should be right around the same time where both the clock and the lap should expire for your driver of Leo Akhtarov, who will come home and continue to lead the race. 2 seconds now ahead of his teammate Savio Panicia.
Yeah, this has been a clinical drive from Akhtarov. He's at no point has looked like he's under any threat in the last 5 or 6 laps. He just has to finish this one off. I mean, we've seen Panicia be a little bit quicker at various points, but he has not been able to put the laps together or the consistency together to give him a shot to run down Akhtarov again.
We'll keep an eye and see how these drivers do here. As now Savio has fallen back to 7 seconds. I wonder what happened to Savio right there. I have a replay of the situation.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. Oh, just a little bit wide, and he's hit the barrier. He has hit the wall on the exit of the bus stop, just carried a little bit too much center speed there into the barrier, nosed it in, and hopefully the car will be okay. We'll see what that did to the tires as he continues on. He's got a good margin in that second spot, so he should be still safe in second, but definitely not a mistake that you wanted to see there from Savio.
No, and just as we see that his teammate Leo Akhtarov just set the fastest lap of the race. Not this lap, but the last lap with a 16:62. So he is absolutely now starting to pick the pace up. His teammate also ran a fast lap the previous time, but still has lost all of that valuable time due to his contact and his gear, which is one of your keys as far as watching out, not making mistakes, being consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being consistent was probably the biggest thing that we've noticed over the course of these races, especially on the semi-pro side of things, with not as many cars out there. Just hitting your marks, being able to consistently run the same line lap after lap and not giving your opponents a free line to win will usually pay off for you. So in this case, Akhtarov has been very smooth, very composed, clicked off many consecutive laps within about half a second of each other. So he has been really in a rhythm here, and we're seeing it now as he comes down to 3 laps to go.
Really great run here for your competitors as they work their way around the circuit. Akhtarov just needs to hit his marks for the next 3 laps, and he will come home with the win. Definitely going to be one to watch for winning the championship. Is he running in, I believe, lightweight or mini classes?
I believe many. I will check that. But certainly, I mean, Leo, one of the bright stars coming up through the ranks here as we get set to see the rest of the Stars Championship Series. So for him to pick up a semi-pro win is very impressive, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
Absolutely. Of course, the next group of drivers we will most likely see running in the KA 100 division along with your OKN or shifter category. We'll see who officially makes the starting lineup for the after. But of course, a big thing to talk about as well is this is the last week before we go into build week next week on iRacing, Emery, and a couple of new things. One is, of course, the big one that everyone's excited about, rain coming onto the platform as we get the video signal. But another thing is a new Formula car coming also. The Dallara, is it releasing their Super Formula Light car. So that's going to be a fun one to have. Kind of that stepping stone where it's similar to what the Formula 3 car is. So could be the possible replacement for Formula 3, as it will be part of the open wheel category, joining the list of cars and tracks that will be planned on release for the 2024 Season 2 build.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Super Formula Light car, it's an exciting car that I'm excited to get the chance to drive. I think it's one of the more responsive cars in real life that you're going to find on the open wheel side of things once you get to that power level. And so excited to see that. Obviously, the rain coming in is something that has been an age-old thing, wanting to come to iRacing. So I think that there's a lot of fun new things coming after build week that I'm really excited to see what all goes down here. And just getting back on, I mean, it's tough for me with not having my sim at college to be able to consistently run, but when I get back, I always love to get some time in the sim and get some time on iRacing.
As we should be getting the white flag this time by, we are on the final lap here as they work their way around the circuit for Akhtarov as he comes around. No pressure whatsoever, and of course this car here, the Formula 4, will be one of several different cars that will be utilized in the first update with regards to the rain package. As he comes cresting over behind the hill and now makes his way over to turn 6, Leo Akhtarov is set and sail to come out on top here tonight in the Formula 4 class, out of class 1 and 2, heading down the bus stop chicane. Emery.
Yeah, out of the bus stop chicane, out of turn number 2, you can see Akhtarov has been so smooth and consistent all race long. And for the final time into the back straightaway chicane, you can see it's perfectly over the 2 curves, spots that well within inches of the wall. He exits the corner, comes through turn 3 and 4. And I'm telling you, this has been a clinical masterclass by Leo Akhtarov. He has been class of the field since about lap number 2. Wyatt Smith made a mistake. Salvio Penchia made a mistake, but none of the sorts for Leo Akhtarov as he comes through the final corner to win F4 here at Charlotte.
How about that for Leo Akhtarov? We will see a few seconds later. Second place, Savio will come home in second. And then Wyatt Smith, I think we're going to go to the battle for P4 right now because that's looking like it's going to be exciting between Eric Sove and Brett Stern.
Yeah, Brett Stern has caught up pretty quickly to Eric Sove in the most recent laps, and now as they go into this backstretch chicane, it's going to take something of a miracle for Stern to be able to get by Sove. But this is his chance here. He's got a good run out of that back straight bus stop as they come through turn 3 and 4. He's within about 5 car lengths or so. Will we see some kind of last lap miracle? We shall see. But as they come through the final bus stop chicane, not going to be enough. It's going to be Eric Sove rounding the final corner to take P4 with Linus Stern in 5th.
Absolutely. What a drive right there for your competitors as they work their way around the circuit. As we get ready to go, and we'll give you your quick rundown of the results as the field works their way around. And there you see it right there. Leo Akhtarov, 9 seconds ahead of his teammates Savio Panisia, Wyatt Smith, Eric Sove, Brett Stern, and then Forrest Adams rounding out your 6-car field. Absolutely amazing run here for your competitors as they work their way through. But as they get themselves set up here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Emery allows us to get ready for the big show, the Formula 3 cars. They're up next here on Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Stars Championship Series. We are back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway to run on the Roval for the Pro category, the F3 cars. Again by Taylor Burris. And Taylor, we already saw an interesting semi-pro race in the F4 category that saw Leo Ostrov run, and now we get set to see who will come out victorious in round number 3 of this championship on the F3 cars at Charlotte.
Absolutely, Emery, and we're looking forward to seeing the action continue here with these high-powered Formula cars that are on the iRacing platform. Compared to the Formula 4 cars, this is going to be one exciting race. 10 cars we have scheduled to race in this event as they make their way out onto the circuit. Speaking of one of those drivers, that is, of course, John Antonino, who's next out for heading out to the track right now to set his flying lap. Keep an eye on him tonight as he works.
Yeah, Antonino again in the junior category in real life, back in the pro category over here. I mean, he has been very quick at different points over the course of these first 2 rounds. We'll see what he can do around Charlotte in the F3 car. Again, Antonino, one of the rising stars of the Stars Championship Series. To me, I look for him to have a really good season this year as he gets set to continue his KA Junior and possibly OKN Junior career here on real life. But here online, he's been consistently in the top 10 or 15, and as he gets set to embark on his 2-lap hot lap qualifying session, we'll see what he can do in his F3 car. There's a look at Simone De Mori, another guy that has been very quick at different points of this championship. I would expect him to also be good. Again, these guys have 2 laps apiece, and Taylor, I mean, when you get into 2-lap qualifying, what are some of the differences in the approach between that and just having 1 hot lap like we see from time to time in qualifying?
Well, for 2 laps, I mean, one, if you use the fresh tires for that first lap, but if you make a small mistake, usually that second lap, you can really try to know where to hit those marks and run the perfect lap. And as we do that, let's actually go on board here with Simon De Mori as he's on the circuit here. Let's see how he's able to negotiate around.
Yeah, there you can see it, Simone De Mori coming through the double rights. Now you'll see him come up the hill, up the elevation. Again, the off-platform, off-camber nature of this corner really makes it tough. There, he back swooping left into another double left complex and onto the high banks. Again, this is full commitment here onto the banking. The difference in the elevation makes it to where you have to be all the way into the gas, very aggressive on the throttle, and avoid hitting the wall now as he comes into the bus stop chicane on the back straightaway. Use a lot of curve on the first part, kiss it on the second part, don't overdrive it. Oh, looks like he went a little bit wide there, or at least a little bit too soon, had to overcorrect it to keep it out of the wall. But still a good lap from Simone De Mori as he now gets set up for the final shoot to the final bus stop here. Taking all the way to the grass there, just clipping the grass, kissing both of the curbs, a little bit more on the second curb there, and he completes his first flying lap of qualifying.
And how about that? Putting him at the top of the leaderboard with that time with a 1:11.028. A couple of other drivers out on track right now. How about Carter Thompson in his, of course, the Kart Republic Trinity group in his number 15 machine. Pretty cool to see the drivers who do go out there and make their Formula cars exactly like what their karts are.
For the guys that has been with time was this last year was his first year in the senior category, and you know, signings made, I believe, all 4. A little bit oversteering into the grass there. That is textbook. You can see again a little bit wide at the apex. Sweeper, onto the back straight, excuse me, through turn.
And with about 5.5 minutes left to go in the race, a couple of other drivers are also setting some times. How about the 6 of Vaughn Beasley? He's working his way up. He's currently sitting P4 at the moment as he works his way around the circuit. As time is going now, Nathaniel Roberts is in the top 5 as well. He works his way around the circuit as well. A couple of other drivers still set to times. That is, of course, being Carter Thompson, Ben Gary, Louis Bilecki, and Nagisa Yoshikawa and Cadence Presley, who are yet to set times in the event.
Yes. Together well.
Absolutely, as a couple more parts are working their way through. For Yoshikawa, who is yet to set a time as the field works his way around and setting his qualifying lap, he was doing pretty good so far here in the Route 66 Championship as well, one of the top front runners in the Formula 3 category for that series, so keep an eye on him. He might be able to be one to keep an eye on. As trouble for Ben Gary loops it around out of the chicane. He will have to reset, but not what he wanted, as Cadence Presley has set a time. He will move up to P5 in the Extreme Sim Racing Dallara.
Cadence Presley there. I mean, we've seen him up towards the front at various points, but a decent qualifying effort for him so far. Puts himself 5th out of the 6 that have run so far. Still waiting on a few more times to come through. But again, this looks to be a very competitive field, and we should be set up for a good, fun 20 minute or 20 lap, 25 minute main event here coming up in 3 minutes. So you can see Presley down through the bus stop again, maybe a little bit struggling on the roll speed, just a little bit there. Wanted to be able to carry more momentum through that bus stop chicane. You can see him trying to keep the momentum up through the banking down towards the last couple corners here. You can see into that final bus stop here, using all of the curve on both corners out to the line, and that will wrap up his qualifying. Cadence Presley to the top of the charts into P1 for the number 19 machine, Taylor.
Great drive right there by Cadence Presley. We'll see what he's able to do. Seeing if anyone else is still on the track. Nathaniel Roberts out there racing with his qualifying attempt in the number 7 Dallara Formula 3 car currently, as he will miss the bus stop. And a tough break right there for the PNC machine. Let's check on Ben Gary, as he is now going to go back out onto the track with the Trinity Kart Republic group.
And again, the gorgeous livery, we mentioned it with Carter Thompson, but I mean, that green and white really blends together nicely when it comes to this Formula 3 car. So I think we'll see what we can do here, but this is, again, probably one of my favorite races. Again, Trinity, a group with a lot of karts coming into the Star Championship Series this year, and they're representing well so far here in Charlotte tonight in the esports side of things.
When it comes to, of course, your SCUSA, USPKS, Stars, any of those championships, you can always find the white and green machines of the Trinity Karting Group out there racing in every division just about, I have to say. And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Of course, a lot of new signings going over to the Trinity Karting Group. One of the biggest ones, of course, I have to say is Brandon Carr going over there.
Yeah, Brandon Carr going over to the Trinity Car Group, kind of their headline driver on the senior side of things. Of course, you've got Finn and Gavin both coming back for another year. Finn's going to be doing the KA side of things, Gavin on the shifter side of things. And then you also bring in a couple of the younger guys. I mean, Lucas Palacio going over to Europe from WSK this year kind of takes it to the state. But on the flip side, you bring in Josh Bergen, you bring in Rocco Simone, you bring in a couple other key guys on the cadet side of things, and I mean, that team is a powerhouse when it comes down to it. Also, Cameron Marshall brings it to run some on the junior side, so there's a lot of firepower on the younger divisions of the Trinity Karting Group. And of course, you have the Brandon Cards of the world, the Thomas Navus of the world, carrying the banner on the senior side of things.
How about Lucas Palacio getting a win over at WSK this past weekend as well? So congratulations to that team. And Lucas Palacio, of course, he is going to be a talent to be forced to be reckoned with when he works his way up into the higher rankings of karting and other forms of car racing.
Yeah, I mean, Palacio, one of the biggest homegrown talents. We've seen him at the Stars Championship Series dominate on the mini and micro levels, both of them for Palacio. I mean, he's been one of the best contenders at that level, winning the Stars Championship and mini last year. So Palacio is set to have big things this year, but how about it for Cadence Presley and the rest of your F3 field here in qualifying to put on a show? Him and John Antonino will start on the front row as we get set to go for the main event coming up here in just a minute. Then is Simone Mari as well as Eli Warren, your round 2 winner, starting on row number 2. Again, Warren off to a hot start this year. Vaughn Beasley, his good running mate, his good friend on row number 3. Alongside him will be Nathaniel Roberts. As we get into row number 4, it's Luis Felique as well as Nagisa Yoshikawa on the outside of row number 4. And we get into the final row of the grid, I believe, as we have not going to be fooled by this one, but you do have Ben Gary, Christian, of course, doing the race directing, not going to be actually racing. And then rounding out your field is Carter Thompson. So it's a Trinity duo at the back of the field and a young front row with Cadence Presley and John Antonino getting set to do battle here in Charlotte.
Absolutely. It's going to be one fun race here to watch. We're happy to have you with us here on Grid Vision's coverage of the Stars Esports Championship Series, as we appreciate all of you tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms to keep up to date with all the action in the world of Grid Vision. Of course, we are still having another race right after this one. Actually, should be going on here in a few moments as the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series is at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Wednesday night, we kick off the season opener for the Thunderclap Series at Daytona for, of course, their 250-mile event. Thursday night, a little bit of a quiet night for us here on Grid Vision. Nothing going on, but Friday night, you want to tune in as we present to you the Ryko Friday Night Top Split, as we will follow the NASCAR Cup Series over at Las Vegas. So if you're in a little bit of fun for some more action on whether it be the oval or road racing side of things, tune in on Grid Vision. And of course, if your league or series is interested in partnering with us on Grid Vision, go check us out on our website or email us on our social media platforms as well to learn more information. We do have some days and spots open for those of you who want to have your league broadcasted, or if you're interested in getting to have a chance to work in the world of production or commentary. This is a great stepping stone to get yourself into the world of real-life broadcasting. A lot of people started off with, here recently, of course, started off utilizing esports as a stepping stone to get themselves into the real-world broadcasting. So yourself and myself, Emery, as we work in the karting world quite regularly on a weekly basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the best ways to get your feet wet is doing these esports broadcasts, and as well as that doing the karting broadcasts. You get a lot of opportunities on here. There's a lot of different series and chances to both watch and be a part of this racing journey. So a lot to look forward to here, but tonight we're set for a great 25-minute main event, probably going to be 20 laps between Cadence Presley and Johnny Antonino on the front row again. Cadence's first lap in qualifying, not great, but his second one was good enough to put him on pole position. So this will be exciting. You got Eli Warren on the second row. Another key storyline, Taylor. I mean, Eli last race looked invincible in Daytona with the GTV cars. Now, though, he's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to be able to beat these young guns in front of him.
Absolutely there, Emery. We're going to keep an eye on the competitors here. I mean, Cadence Presley is going to be one I'm going to have to watch. John Antonino always, but I think the one driver I'm going to keep an eye on quite is Vaughn Beasley in that number 6 car. And as the drivers work their way around, we'll go ahead and make a couple of picks for our competitors here tonight as they get themselves situated here.
And I mean, I said earlier, I think consistency is really key, but when you look at the guys at the front, lot of younger drivers. I think that's going to favor a guy with a little more experience. I would say Eli Warren, after what we saw last race, he has the consistency. We know he has the speed. I think he puts it together and wins here in Charlotte, Taylor.
Well, you know what? I'm going to have to go with one of the veterans of this sport. It's going to have to go to John Antonino. And even though Alexander Searle couldn't be able to be here with us, we'll make a pick for him. How about we give him Simon Demori as his pick for tonight? So, Alex, if you're tuning in on Grid Vision after getting back from the events at Sebring for you, we hope to have you back for the next one here in a couple of weeks' time. But field now works their way out of NASCAR Turn 4, heading over into the chicane. We're about to turn them loose here tonight on Grid Vision at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we are getting the green flag. We are racing here at, of course, Charlotte Motor Speedway. And already a great jump from the driver of Cadence Presley as he works his way up to the field.
Yeah, how about that for Cadence Presley? Already got a couple of Carlings in hand, more than that. She really just wheeled it off to start Johnny Antonino. So not a better start out there for Cadence Presley. He gets the perfect jump and leads this 10-car field. Line of stern coming through, turns 5, 6, up through the double left and up onto the back straightaway. You can see just how smooth that number 19 black and green machine is. He's got a 4-car Carling on Antonino, who will now set his sights on trying to get back up to Presley.
Absolutely here as the field works their way around the circuit, and great racing action here. There you see a little further back the 5 of Eli Warren as they head into the chicane for the first time. Great racing action.
Again, this is a very scenic place. A lot of different profiles too. You can tell that the amount of different challenges caught a lot of people out in the semi-pro race earlier. These guys are a little bit more experienced and probably have a lot of pressure in this place and won't be quite as prone to making mistakes. As we see Presley really taking a round line through turn number 1, gets a good exit off of that, and he'll set his sights down towards turn number 2 and 3. There's a look back into the 3rd position. Or no, that's further back. That's Bob Beasley back in the 5th spot, I believe. So Beasley, maybe not the start he would have wanted, but he's got a little bit of work to catch up to his teammate Eli Warren, who's there on screen in 4th position, right in tow for Simon Mori, as well as Johnny Antonino in that 2nd and 3rd spot. So there's Lincoln Warren, there's Von Beasley, there is Johnny Antonino in the 2nd spot as he comes out of the oval portion of this track. Still chasing Ben Presley. Looks like it's maintained about the same gap over the last lap, and heading to the bus stop, he still is looking for more to try to catch up on that gap as we look to complete lap number 2 here, Taylor.
We'll see how this works out here. Currently it's showing about 20 laps completed for our drivers. Excuse me here. As here comes a big run by Simon Demori. He'll look to the inside of Antonino, completes the pass. How about that pass? Right there for Simon Demori to move up into P2.
Yeah, Simon Demori there through the chicane. I mean, again, that takes a lot of guts to make that sort of pass. You know you have to be aggressive. You know you have to kind of trust your instincts on the braking zone to be able to make it happen. He was able to sprint a little bit so about to hit the curb well, didn't hit the right drive, and he gets on the side now. He will be the one to chase after Cadence Presley for that race lead.
Watching the field of drivers as they work their way around out of turn 5, climbing the banking in turn 6. Simon Demori's got a little bit of work to do to try to catch up to your race leader here as they work their way out of the turn 2 of NASCAR complex, and he's got some work to do. But so far, it's going to be a fun battle to watch as Cadence Presley holds a little bit of a lead right now. About 1 second of Simon Demori.
Yeah, and you see the battling further on through the field. I mean, there you can see Antonino's kind of slotted in the 3rd. I don't know if he has the pace that he really needs to early on in this race, but he's trying his best to stay up there with Simon Demori, who has done a great job of extending that gap over the course of the last lap, but needs to find more pace to be able to catch up to Cadence Presley here. There's a look at Presley in the race lead, and he has been so smooth in this race. Not really being overly quick. I mean, he's pulling out that gap consistently, but it's just the consistency and the smoothness that's making the difference between him and everyone else here in this field.
He's playing some really strong lap times here as he works his way out of the blind corner. Good run.
this has been a clinic so far for Cadence Presley. It's early on in the race, still early days, but I mean, he has done an excellent job, and now you can see Antonino trying to come back a little bit on Simon Amori to get that second spot. But neither of them seem to have the pace to be able to run down Cadence Presley as of now. As they continue on, I mean, they've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the field, from Von Beasley, Eli Warren, and that group from fourth on back. But I mean, Antonino, as well as Simon Amori, have a lot of work to do if they want to be able to catch up to Presley throughout the rest of this race.
Well, last time by for your leader, he ran just about, almost a little bit slower last time by than Simon Amori by about a 10. So maybe Cadence Presley is trying to see if he can manage it down, but he's got to watch out because Demori is coming quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Demori is able to get a lot of power down here. You can see he's pushing that car. He has kind of been on a different level. Antonino was used to a couple of laps here, and I think Cadence Presley might have made a mistake over the course of that last lap around, because for a while he was still pulling that car. Now Mori has blood on his hand, or can smell blood. He knows what is coming here. He's going to do his best to try to close it down. He's already done it over the first half of this lap, and now he's almost within driving range of Cadence Presley. There you see another look at John Antonino. He's got to try to go with Simon Amori if he wants any shot at this race lead as the laps continue to tick on here. And again, it looks like Antonino doesn't quite have the raw pace that he needs to be able to get up in that lead battle, but Simon Amori might well have that as he continues to really race into this on your screen with Cadence Presley.
Absolutely. Here, keep an eye on these competitors as they work their way around the circuit. Already some great runs happening as Cadence Presley continues to lead the charge here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. No pressure whatsoever from the rest of the field, but keep an eye on Demori as he will be closing.
Yeah, I mean, Demori continues to just consistently come from the last year. He's down to within about 4 or 5 car lengths. I mean, he is making a move. Now, getting there is one thing, passing is a whole nother ballgame. We saw him pass Antonino earlier on in the race in that last chicane. We'll see how aggressive he is with this move now once he can get up to Cadence Presley. But Presley, I mean, he'll see where he's coming. Maybe that forces him to mistake or something, but he's got to pick up the pace now if he wants to have a shot at hanging on against Simon Amori. For the longest time, it looked like Cadence Presley was in the clear, going very consistent, but now it looks like Simon Amori is coming back, and even the rest of the field is staying about equal to what Cadence Presley is doing.
Here comes a big run by Demori out of that chicane here. Can he set it up out of the bus stop for the final run here as they make the way over towards the chicane here? Keep an eye on Demori as they enter into the braking zone. Demori looks to the outside, can't get it around just yet, has to gather it back up, and looks to head off over towards Heartburn Tournament.
Yeah, this is getting to very sketchy times for Cadence Presley. I mean, he is definitely driving the wheels off of that thing. He's going to try to find another gear here to hang on against Simon Amori. But again, it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass. We're seeing now both of them really using the upper limits of the track there, just barely kissing the grass. There's the run for Amori. Not really a passing zone here, even in the sweeper. We'll see though if a good on top of the back straightaway can call an overtaking opportunity here, Taylor.
Absolutely, as you're riding forward with Demori as they come out of turn number 6. This is what we expect to see here tonight between some of the best as they battle it out of NASCAR turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Demori looks to the inside, thinks better of it, gathers it back up to stay tucked up behind your race leader of Cadence Presley.
Yeah, Demori not going to force the issue here. He knows he has 15 laps or so to work with, so the time is definitely in his favor now. He's about trying to spot the right moment here, the right opportunity. He's going to go to the outside again. Does he turn into the inside? If he can just send it a little bit harder, see exactly what he did against Antonino. And now it's what he does to Cadence Presley. Move Simon Amori into the race lead.
New race leader Simon Amori in that iRacing Dallara F3 holding off and now pulling away from the rest of the field as here comes John Antonino with a head of steam in that Delta Sport machine as he's going to try to see if he can get on to P2.
Yeah, that pass has brought new life in for John Antonino, who at one point was kind of getting ran away from by your top 2, but now he's got Cadence Presley in his sight, and he will know that if he wants any shot at this one, he's got to get by Cadence quickly. Now he gets a good run out of that sweeper onto the banking corner here, coming out of turn number 1 into turn number 2. We'll see if Antonino has enough of the slipstream here to try to make something happen coming into the bus stop.
Absolutely. We'll keep an eye on this here as the field works their way down the back straightaway. Antonino looks to the inside. Is he clear? No. He's going to have to back off a little bit so that way he can give Cadence Presley enough room as they come out of the chicane and heading off towards the second chicane up ahead. Will Antonino try? He's going to go to the outside out of turn number 4, NASCAR 4. And will he send it in deep? Yes, he will try. And, oh, how about that?
Yeah, Antonino barely gets it in, but he's able to finish the pass there. Move John Antonino up to the race lead now, and or in the second place, excuse me now. And now he will set his sights after race leader Sumner Morey as Cadence Presley continues to come under fire from those that are behind him.
How about the SDK racing machine of Louis Malecki? He is now going to try to see if he can end up on the podium, getting around Cadence Presley for third as they come out of the line number 4 and 5. You've got Eli Warren right there on his tail as well as they come up to turn 6.
Yeah, again, Warren continuing to try. He was my pick for the race win, has not done quite as well as I would have hoped for here. But I mean, Louis Billet kind of bringing him back into the fight here against Cadence Presley. Presley, I just feel like this race is unraveled from him. I don't know if maybe it's the tire lane or something not to his liking. But he started out so well and it's completely come apart from there. You see sliding through that chicane. He maybe put the ball a little bit on the exit there, as it looks like Cadence Presley going to come under fire for that third spot. Here comes Wilkin trying to make a move out of the high banks. Is he going to be aggressive? We've already seen 2 guys go by Presley here. Not going to be a third as of yet. But Cadence Presley certainly sitting back through the field as of right now.
Not wanting to be aggressive right now as we're approaching halfway next time by for your race leaders as they come through underneath the Bank of America tower and head over to 3. Good long sweeping the second line. Here. But so far, Malecki trying to find his opening, but being more patient now compared to Lori and Antonino.
Yeah, definitely taking his time. Although if he wants to win this race, he's probably going to need a more aggressive move. But for the podium position like he's going for right now, you want to kind of scale it out a little bit and try your best to make an efficient pass. And you see in the slipstream now, I would not be surprised if he pulls out. Oh, that was a little bit sketchy on the block from Cadence Presley, but ultimately powerless to defend. He's going to get into the third spot here as he comes out of turn number 2, or out of the bus stop into turn number 3 on the oval track. And now Cadence Presley forced to regroup a little bit, as we'll see how this fight for second continues to go.
He is really closing into that number of John Antonino as they come out of the final corner. He's going to send it in deep, really trying to go around, but Antonino holds on as they come out. This opens the door back for Cadence Presley to retake the third spot as they come through turn 3.
Yeah, and here comes Eli Warren, again, fresh on the scene, looking for that 4th spot. Not going to happen. We have now a 5-car train all the way back to Vaughn Beasley in the 6th spot, happening for that second position. All this has allowed Simon Morey to get well and truly out from the field, and they'll fight it out for second right now.
You're looking at a 3-second lead between Simon Morey and this gaggle of cars right here, as Vaughn Beasley had an issue. He's looped it around, as well as now that will open the door for Nagisa Yokosawa to take over the 6th spot.
Yeah, Yoshikawa able to get himself into 6th after the mistake there from Beasley, but he's got a ways to go to catch up with that group for 5th position and forward on. As there you see Bosuke able to try around the outside, or trying to get around the outside of Antonino for that 2nd spot here. And see down the inside he goes, wondering what's happened to Cadence Presley here. I think Presley might be out in, it looks like he's in the pits, so Cadence Presley has had something happen to him, forced to come into the pits. Not sure what happened there, but unfortunate for him. Antonino now going to fight for that 2nd spot, though.
Let's take a look right here at the replay.
Oh, that explains it.
That really explains the new damage model. You get to really get a good look at, of course.
Yeah. I wonder if he maybe flipped the barrier on the entrance to the bus stop there, but that is less than optimal if you're if you're Cadence Presley. I mean, this race has gone horribly wrong for him. Started out in P1. He'll get to reset. He'll be fine in terms of finishing the race, but I mean, this is a heartbreak after it looked so good for him early on in this race.
Got another replay regarding with Vaughn Beasley here as they were coming out of turn 6. Oh, just try to avoid making contact and damage his
easily there, just a little bit too overambitious on the throttle, hits the wall on the outside, spins it to the inside, and that is his race more or less done. Simon Moore, though, continues a challenge up front, but at the back, oh, a contact into the wall, and off goes Luca Boleke, and again, that is awful for him. That will be his run, his charge to second, out and dusted for Boleke there. So unfortunate for him, just a little bit too much in that curve into the barrier, and that is his bid for a podium, out and dusted right there, Taylor.
Tough break as he's going to be sitting on pit road for a little bit right there as he works his way. 10 minutes to go left in the race. 13 of 22 completed. And for Simon Demore, he has pretty much just got to cruise control. While John Antonino and Eli Warning, well, they still got a little bit of battling to do as they are going to try out for that second step of the podium here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this is now kind of simplified what was once a five-car battle down to a two-car battle. Both these guys now know they're going to get a podium. Both of them know they're probably not going to catch Simon Demore for the win. But, I mean, this is just about making sure you don't do anything too silly, to make sure you get that final spot or the second or third spot on the podium and get yourself to the finish here. Because right now it looks like both of them are content to just kind of run their race and not do anything too crazy.
Absolutely. They're trying to just run their marks, hit their marks, and get through. As I say that, Warren really tries to go in a little bit deep and runs up a little bit wide. Same thing with Antonino, but they continue to skate on by through. No issues. They're just losing a ton of time last time by. Let's see here. Maury was faster. 1:10.80. Antonino 1:10.85.
Yeah, I mean, just slightly quicker, but at this point with the gap there's no way that I would say Antonino will be able to stretch enough laps together, pending some kind of mistake from Demore or some kind of intervention of pace for Simon Demore. It just looks like this gap is a little bit too insurmountable in my opinion.
I have to agree with you, Henry. He's going to need a challenge for the race lead here. Same thing with Eli Warren. He can maybe keep pace with John Antonino if he has a really clean run to the end. But other than that, this is his best he's going to be able to do for the moment. Same thing with Yoshikawa, who sits in fourth position. There you see right there at the end of your screen as they come out of the bus stop. That is your battle for the podium pretty much for this race.
I mean, this is the full battle. I mean, Eli Warren has a big gap from Yoshikawa at this point, so it would take a lot for him to lose that podium spot. But right now, the big battle for me is second. Will Warren be able to do anything about Antonino? It looks like he's kind of been able to get close, but it's every time he gets within a couple of car lengths, Antonino is able to push it a little bit further back, and he's able to kind of pull together a couple of laps and not make the mistakes that are allowing Warren to get close. So Warren's going to have to pull something out of the bag here if he wants to get that second spot.
Well, last time by, your top three all ran their fastest laps of the race. Demore with a 58, Antonino with a 7.5, and Eli Warren with an 83.6. So the pace is there. There's still a lot of tire that they can utilize before the end of the race. The problem is, for Antonino and Warren, it's just they lost so much time at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, they're pretty evenly matched, but the consistency of Demore, the aggressiveness to get into clean air, and the battling that's gone on behind him has really opened this race up for him. So kudos to him for that, being smooth, being consistent, and kind of having a calming presence through the aggressiveness to get himself to the race lead. But I mean, we'll see. The battle for second is certainly not over, and I think if Warren can just string one more good lap together, he might be able to get up to Antonino and give him a good challenge here for that second spot.
Absolutely. 6 cars on the lead lap. Ben Gary, the last car on the lead lap. Nathaniel Roberts, still on track. Maleke and Trevor Thompson are the 2 cars that will not finish.
Yeah, unfortunate for those guys, but still good amount of drivers still running out there. Again, 6 on the lead lap like you mentioned, Taylor, and I think that it's been a relatively clean race, a few different mistakes, but I mean, we've seen some good battling, and now I think we're going to see some more as Warren down within a car length through the bus stop chicane, gets a good exit. This is where he'll be on the power. He'll be trying to get a good run onto the front straightaway through turns number 3 on to turn number 4. He's going to get underneath Antonino there. Antonino goes a little bit wide, and that will open up for Eli Warren now coming out. Can Antonino do anything about it? No. Move Eli Warren back into the second position.
Great pass right there by Eli Warren. He can make it work for him, and now let's see if he can maintain and hold on to it as they come out of Heartburn Corner over through turn 2 and 3. Antonino tries to look to the inside as they head into 4. Beautiful pass to the inside as they come through, and now he regains second place. But here comes Eli Warren on the outside with a big run.
Yeah, we're seeing pass attempts where it usually does not happen. And, with a great move to get him back in turn number 3 there now as they come out into the sweeping section there. You can see Antonino on the power, smooth, consistent, slides it out on exit there onto turn number 1 of the Cup circuit, and you can see him now. He's got about a 2-car length lead. That's not going to hold up here in the draft, and we should see Warren might get close enough for a draft attempt here. He's going to stay on the outside, try to get a better exit from the chicane. You can see it compromises Antonino. And again, Warren's going to have a chance here. Down on the high banks. This time he's going to go to the outside. We'll see if Antonino follows him up. Nope, this time he's Warren is left. He stays all the way on the bottom. Warren's going to stay around the outside. This is what we saw Simon Mori do to Antonino earlier. It's what Warren's going to do to him now as he grabs second back through the chicane, but he gets a little bit overcooked, and now Antonino is going to cross him back over and have the inside line into Heartburn Corner.
How about that? Of course, when you take the outside line from NASCAR 3 and 4 there, Emery, you have the inside lane advantage heading off into that final chicane. So something to keep in mind for Antonino to maintain that second place. He may need to stay on that outside.
Yeah, I mean, I think both drivers are learning something here. We saw the last lap before Antonino stayed all the way in the white line. Warren was able to go around the outside. The lap before that, though, Warren was able to go underneath him and get the pass done before he got into the corner. So it's really kind of a trade-off there. I mean, do you want to risk giving up the pass right away and give up leverage in the early part of the corner, or do you want to block to the exit and risk being out of position when it comes down to any of the bus stops? So, I mean, it kind of depends on picking your poison. Warren was able to make the outside work, he made the inside work, but Antonino both times able to fight it off and live in second for another day.
And he will have plenty of breathing room as they head into the final chicane here coming up. 3.5 minutes to go. 4 laps left in this race by the looks of it as they snake their way out of Heartburn Corner, cresting over the hill and heading off to turn 2 and 3.
Yeah, this is a good chance to see John Antonino what he can do when he's not under fire here. And it looks like the pace is going to come back to him just a little bit this effort. So he's put a little bit of distance between him and Warren. There's still a lot of time left for Warren to make something happen. Yoshikawa is kind of closing up a little bit these last few laps with them battling, but I think that at this point, Antonino is going to have to try to do his best to avoid the mistake, because Warren has been able to get up to him, but he has not shown the ability to get past and make it stick for more than a corner or two. So it's just on Antonino to not make the critical mistake and give Warren a lifeline here.
Give Warren a big round of applause. He has currently set the fastest lap of the race with a 10:41. So he is cooking out there for sure. The problem is that mistakes cost him with these two battling. It's no use pretty much for them to go downside early for the moment. But for how Eli Warren setting fastest lap of the race, that's kind of how for him. And on the podium so far, not a bad way to camp out for now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw Warren win the previous rounds. Maybe a slight disappointment for him not to be winning this one, but for him to rebound to get into the podium positions and really drive a composed race. It hasn't been perfect for him. He's made a couple mistakes. He's overdriven the pass a couple of times, but ultimately still a solid effort from the man out of Kentucky, Eli Warren, who has such a bright future coming up this year with a lot of 4-cycle and 2-cycle races coming up. I'm excited to see what doesn't see the ball. Antonino around has been a nice save, but it's enough to give Warren that second spot. And now that completely flips that battle on its head. Antonino now under fire. There goes Nagisa Yoshikawa to the inside of him. And so Antonino had it locked up. But what was it about avoiding a critical mistake? Antonino could not do that, and now he's going to have to fight just to get a podium back here.
Well, he'll quickly go to the inside of Yoshikawa to take over that third spot, but now he has to get himself and pull away. Yoshikawa ran his fastest lap of the race last time by, and he was faster than John Antonino. So be careful there, John, as they head into the chicane here. Once again, 2 laps to go for your race leader as they work their way through the chicane across the line. It is going to be go time for these two for the final step of the podium.
Yeah, Yoshikawa again has been very good in the Route 66 side of things. Now trying to put that to good use on the Stars side of things. You can see him pushing that purple car, the purple machine, up and trying to get up to Antonino, but Antonino again composed to get himself back into rhythm. That cannot be understated. When you spin it like that, to get right back out there and hold on to a podium spot and pass your way back onto it is super impressive. And we're seeing Antonino doing all he can to hang on to that last podium spot right now.
He's going to hold on to it now as he's pulled away quite a bit, about 0.8 of a second, so he's got a little bit of breathing room now over Yoshikawa. But so far, he's got to be careful. One bad move, and it will cost him the podium here tonight. As we look through for the drivers, there's Simon Demore. He's coming around to get the white flag, this time by for your race leader. Here one more time here at, of course, the circuit and Charlotte Motor Speedway to wrap up, of course, the Formula cars here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Stars Championship Series. But Simon Demore absolutely doing a phenomenal drive tonight.
Yeah, this has been super composed by Simon Demore. We saw some good passes. Since then, though, it's just been clean lap after clean lap. He has left nothing up to fortune, and he looks set and poised to get a win here in the Stars Championship Series, round 3 at Charlotte.
Climbing the banking once again through NASCAR turns 1 and 2. Out of turn 2 here, we'll make the run down to the bus stop chicane for the final time. One word for Simon Demore is domination. Once he took hold of the race lead, there was no stopping him, and he looks to try to continue that streak for him, not just in the Stars Championship, Esports Championship, but also in his respective class in the Stars Championship in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, Simon Demore getting set for a great season, but in the meantime, in Charlotte, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, at the Roval, he's going to cross the line for a dominant feature win here in the pro category of F3. Simon Demore, your winner here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Still waiting on Eli Warren. He will come across the line second, and John Antonino will hold off for a finish here. But how about your driver, Simon Demore, winning here tonight as he will burn it down here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Try to at least. There he goes.
Excellent job there for Simon Demore. The burnout on point as well. This has been a show from him to be able to get himself to the lead, to pull away like that, see all the chaos happen behind him, but at the end of the day, smooth, calm, collected, and now a feature race winner is Simon Demore.
Give him a moment to go and celebrate, but with that, Emery, let's take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll give you your full field rundown, and hopefully talk to Simon Demore or any of our other drivers who were a part of this event. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
As we welcome you back to Grid Vision's coverage of the Stars Championship Series here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, let's go ahead and give you your full field rundown here tonight. As, of course, Simon DeMore was able to take home the checkered flag, followed by second-place finisher Eli Warren. John Antonino will come home in P3 with Nagisa Yokosawa in fourth position. Nathaniel Roberts will finish in fifth position, while sixth position will go to Cadence Presley. Ben Gary will come home seventh. Louis Bilecki will be in eighth. Vaughn Beasley and Carter Thompson rounding out your top 10 here tonight as we get ready to take a look at some of the action that we saw here. And I believe, Emery, if I am mistaken, we do have Eli Warren joining us here up in the booth.
Yeah, Eli Warren, I mean, a solid run to second place tonight. Wasn't quite as smooth as the previous race, but I mean, how'd it go out there, buddy?
Yeah, I think everyone messed up their qualifying laps, so even with me hitting the wall on my second lap, I was still in fourth. I knew some people behind me were way faster than me. I just didn't have the best pace here. I wasn't too confident over the curbs. And so I knew that would probably be a big point of this race, is just avoiding that wall, hitting the wall coming out of the corner. And so I knew if I just conserved my tires, kept the car clean, then eventually the spots would come to me. And so, I mean, I think I just took it super conservative the first 10 minutes. I could tell that there was going to be a big pack kind of forming with, and then it all kind of came together. And then I just tried to focus on not hitting the wall, keeping the car clean. And eventually I came out third. And then me and Antonino, we had a pretty good fight. And then eventually he kind of half looped it, I guess. And then I was able to get the spot and drive away to second.
Yeah, awesome job out there. And I mean, when you talk about the curbs there and that uncertainty of hitting the wall, I mean, this race looked like it had a lot of drivers not necessarily making huge mistakes, but just enough to kind of throw them off the rhythm and take them out of podium contention. How difficult was it to keep your head down over the course of a pretty long 25-minute race and just consistently put in the laps without making those sorts of mistakes?
Yeah, it was pretty hard. I mean, this track is super hard in these cars. Just if you hit the curb just wrong, then you lose it and you hit a wall. And so it was hard to keep focus there and just not make the mistake. And there's a few corners too where it's just if you get too wide, then you lose all grip and you just can't turn into the corner. So just focusing, keeping your head down, not pushing too hard, and not making a mistake was important. I actually raced this track in real life. I did a few legend cars here, so I knew some of the corners actually from racing it in real life, so that kind of helped me too. But I think just putting your head down, I don't think there's a point in the race where I was like 100% pushing, honestly. It was just trying to keep the car clean, and I knew the spots would eventually come to me.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to be back here this weekend for CKNA at Charlotte. How excited are you to actually be at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in real life again?
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to be with Mark Steele in the Burrell this weekend at CKNA. We're running medium and light, but it's going to be wet. So who knows how that's going to go. Obviously, you never know what's going to be wet, if it's just going to be like the practice day or the whole weekend's going to be wet. So it's going to be really fun. I mean, there's a ton of great competition. I mean, I think there's almost 100 in medium and light. So those two classes are going to be super competitive, and it's going to be great to see how I do on the Burrell with Mark Steele. We've always been on an OTK, so switching to a chassis that's specifically meant for four cycle is something we've never really ran on before. So it's going to be great to see how I shape up in that.
Absolutely, Eli. Well, I'll let Taylor ask if he has any more questions out here.
Other than the fact of Eli, where can people go to follow you with your racing this year as we keep an eye on you racing in Charlotte as well as in the Stars Championship?
Wait, what was that? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, where can people go to follow you to keep up to date with all your racing action this year?
Yeah, we're going to be running all the SCUSA, USPKS, and Stars races. Anytime route, the route races at Newcastle and Whiteland. Obviously, we're going to try to do any Newcastle club races we can, but we're going to try to win all 3 championships in KC, USPKS, Stars, and SCUSA. I think it's possible. The first few rounds are probably going to be the hardest, but once we get to the second half of the season, it's mostly Newcastle, GoPro, MCC. Those are all tracks I'm comfortable with, so I'm hoping that we can win all 3 championships in those.
Well, Eli, we wish you the best of luck. That's Eli Warren coming home in second place. Emery, as we come to a close here for tonight, final thoughts for you regarding this race that we saw here in Charlotte with both the Formula 4 and the Formula 3 cars.
Yeah, I mean, it was a composed race from everyone. I think given how hard the track is to race, as Eli alluded to with the curves, for them to make as few mistakes as they did was super impressive. And I mean, again, hats off to Simon Amore for the dominant performance there in the pro category. I think, as well as Leo Ochichov in the semi-pro category. Both of them put on a good, clean show, and I think that we saw some good racing here tonight.
Absolutely. And, of course, for those of you who are tuning in on Grid Vision later on, of course, right now, if you want to, just go straight over to the Champions Power Equipment Truck Series. That's happening right now at Atlanta. Or tune in tomorrow night for the season opener of the Thunderclap iRacing Series at Daytona, utilizing the next-gen cars. Or tune in Friday night for the Ryco Performance Friday Night Top Split here at Atlanta, or at Las Vegas Motor Speedway this Friday night. And of course, if your league is interested in partnering with us here at Grid Vision, make sure to follow us on all social media and reach out to us to see if we have an opening for you. But for tonight's racing action, of course, for my great co-host and lead announcer, Emery Lida, I'm Taylor Burris. And of course, thank you to all of those at the Stars Championship Series and of course, the Grid Vision family. We'll see you next time on the Grid.